games in the cross-conference, which means that as we leave cross-conference for this week, head back into their Group B and Group A respectively, that OMG, it just looks like disaster for them.
Yeah, and there's sort of no one else on that side of this group situation that is looking the same. Very, very scary. As we are going to have OMG actually skipping a ban here, as Thresh and Rise are going to be taken away on the side of Game Talents. See whether OMG are actually able to find a ban button for this one.
Something to note is the Thresh ban and target ban against OMG. So OMG and Game Talents are actually quite interesting in terms that they have unique picks to the team and like the spectrum of LPL in general.
Yeah.
Trundle has always been a pretty strong pick for the LPL recently, but Game Talents in particular have said that they will prioritize this champion no matter what. And it's a flex pick between their support and their top lane. Whereas on the other side, OMG, they're reliant on certain picks simply because their effective champion pools are relatively small, in particular Five's champion pool.
Yeah.
Not that he can't play the likes of Alistar and Braum, but he is a completely different animal on his Thresh, almost to a one-trick expense.
Yeah, the man is fantastic. Of course, the reason why OMG missing some bans is because Memory is not going to be towards the top side of the map. He was the top laner of choice, but Xiang is going to be stepping in his place. So all of the bans now missing for OMG is Vladimir, of course, orchestrated for GT with their own banning phase.
But I don't necessarily think that's such a bad thing because it does allow you two strong picks on red side, which we see them reflected. They do pick up the Braum, which I agree with. Rusty touched on Braum kind of last series about how he, in a meta that's being opened up by lane swaps so more, Braum's no longer being punished by mage supports like Karma and Bard, so he's not getting as poor 2v2 matchups, which kind of brings back his strength in the mid game to deny a lot of tower sieging potential with his Unbreakable. Gragas, on the other hand, it is more of a comfort champion for Shui Shui, but I still prioritize Rek'Sai here.
Well, this is the thing. Rek'Sai not even locked in. As you can see, Wushang does have that ghost, so have a feeling that he'll be taking the Horseman to the jungle. Rek'Sai going to be unseen, and of course the Trundle being locked in here for potentially Savoki or of course Gimgoon there towards the top side of the map. If history tells us anything, that should theoretically be going into Savoki's hands, but Gimgoon has been branching out.
But that's also the scary thing. It does leave Game Talents open that they could use the flex for the Shin pickup. So typically when we see the Hecarim, it's kind of a telltale sign that the Shin is also going to come out, or if you see the Shin followed by the Hecarim. Although as I say that, they're going to completely throw it out the window. Yeah,
it looks like Rek'Sai might be considered here for Wushang, meaning that Gimgoon is going to take the horse up top. PentaQ thinking about taking some utility of his own into the AD carry position, as of course LeBlanc and Sivir were locked away on the side of OMG.
And this really illustrates Game Talents. Again, jack of all trades. They're very smart about their draft. They're very smart about their team fight, their early game. There's nothing that they particularly really excel in. But the fact that they hid so much power in their picks by using flex picks like this is rather interesting and unique for them in the LPL.
Well, it's actually not going to be that Rek'Sai, and the Gangplank is locked in for Gimgoon on the top side of the map. A lot of area control and damage coming out of this team right now. We'll see how Gimgoon's going to go, because that's a blind Gangplank pick.
And we saw Gangplank played just the other day by Invictus Gaming. Not too much success for Zatai up into that top lane. We'll see if Gimgoon has a bit more fun with the pick. He's definitely kind of in that same vein as Zatai, as a hard carry for his team.
Well, it is very scary because, of course, the top lane pool has not been touched.
It could still be Republic's champion.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
Especially looking across from Icon and his LeBlanc.
Well, we'll see whether that is something that they've decided to flex. Of course, GT, one of our sort of top flexing teams as far as picking champions that should be going somewhere, but they put them somewhere else. I'm looking at you, Trundle.
I cannot believe that teams continue to give Savoki Trundle. He is a phenomenal Trundle player. He does so much work for this team.
Especially when they want to pick Maokai like this.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it is most certainly interesting, and we'll see how things are going to go. Of course, Xiang has been known to go off on the tree.
Well, the thing is this is the staple OMG composition. You just cover everyone's nameplates. It doesn't matter.
Sivir OMG. Sivir Maokai. That's OMG. That's why I almost called Maokai OMG.
It doesn't matter if it's SMLZ playing or the past Uzi playing, if it's Xiang in that top lane, if it's going in that top lane. Doesn't matter, Memory. It is the Sivir Maokai run-at-you composition, because if anything has stayed consistent about OMG, it's their win conditions through fighting and skirmishing.
And this is actually just incredibly comfortable across the board as well. I mean, Icon sort of made his name in the LPL with that LeBlanc pick. Of course, plays the Assassins fantastically well, likes to have a lot of control over his lane. Five, of course, now on a tanky champion, much like his Thresh, fair bit of CC available to him as well. So we'll see whether OMG going back to comfort is going to help them pick up a victory. However, on the other side of things, GT looking like they're incredibly comfortable at the same time. Vladimir, ridiculous. Of course, one of the reasons why RNG couldn't close out game number 1 was because Republic had the Bloodlord and went completely ballistic.
But it's a difference about where these two teams are weighted, one in the late game and one in the early.
Well, we'll see how it is going to work out as we hop onto the Rift. Thank you very much, PentaQ, and welcome to Summoner's Rift, as Infernal Drake is going to be the first dragon of the game here for Game Talents versus OMG. Our second set of the night here for day number 3 of week 7. As everyone fans out onto the Rift, I'm excited to see what Gimgoon can do on this gangplank as he moves towards the top side.
So we are going to go ahead and take a look at our Keystone Masteries. Nothing too strange really sticking out right now. Both the AD carries choosing to go Warlord's Bloodlust, so trying to compensate for their... Ooh, hold on, though.
This is cheeky.
Icon also down there.
Yeah, exactly. Icon looking to try and get something early done.
It's going to be... okay, so I was going to say it was going to be interesting if SMLZ was caught out in vision by Savoki on the Trundle up in the river, because if they see where the enemy AD carry is, PentaQ might feel a bit more liberal to step forward, not suspecting that the enemy mid laner would also be down there with the support. But everyone goes ahead and backs off.
It looks like standard lanes are going to ensue here at 1:20 into this game. Wushang just going to get a little bit of help from Gimgoon. He's going to shoot his blue buff for him.
And quickly touching on what I was talking about in Champion Select, about the different power points for each of these compositions. So on Game Talents, you've got the Gangplank, you have the Hecarim, you have the Vladimir. All 3 of those champions need a pretty substantial amount of ramp time before they really start get going. They have very expensive build paths. Yes, you have a champion like Vladimir that can abuse his lane phase.
I feel like Vladimir's just good at all stages of the game.
So he's not necessarily as item dependent in terms of that ramp time, but obviously the level 9 and having 5 points in that queue and being able to abuse that cooldown does help.
I feel like you're
Ash,
right, but he's also strong in the early stages.
But he's like, I'm just going to stack up my Crimson Rush and just run at you and try to outtrade you. There's nothing you can do about it.
Exactly, and even if you do outtrade me, I'll just sustain it all back up again.
Whereas on the other side, OMG actually have much more or much better bridging of power in terms of you have some champions that are strong early game, some champions that are really good in the mid game, and some champions that can really take over late game, like the Sivir. So they should have more points or more windows of opportunity that they can really act on the map, whereas Game Talents effectively just kind of want to sit back, farm up, find their level 6 ultimates on Ashe and Hecarim, and kind of go from there.
Well, of course, Maokai, an interesting pickup here late in the draft, into the Trundle pick as well. So Savoki actually going aggressive onto 5 right now, gets the chomp down. The Braum has to go through a lot of his potions now as SMLZ throws down his spell shield, blocks the volley.
SMLZ actually has really nice posture in that lane too. You'll see that he's always standing at a diagonal angle from 5 because he's trying to block the incoming volleys. But speaking of block, mid lane.
Yeah, Republic possibly in trouble here. Sorry, Icon in trouble. As he is going to flash away.
I know, it was a bit confusing because he was running towards the other.
Which way are you going, man?
Yeah, but it was because Icon forced to use his flash because he used his distortion aggressively looking for the trade. Again, the thing about Vladimir is once he has that passive stacked up, it's almost impossible to trade effectively with him because he's going to recoup more health, especially after he takes the damage, because he'll gain more health back.
Yeah. Crimson Rush also being able to be used quite liberally, as he has made it to that level 3 mark. The pool will be there, as well as those Tides of Blood, and we'll see how he's going to go as this lane continues. But right now, things pretty good. Remember, last time we saw him play the Vladimir, he solo killed Xiaohu on what was Xiaohu's attempted counterpick in the mid lane in the Karma.
Yep, definitely gave RNG a very hard time. That's kind of been the real wild card and surprise factor from Game Talents is Republic stepping up. But let's take a look at bot lane.
Yeah, we are going to get a stun down onto Pentakill here as there's Shui picks up the first blood for his AD carrier. Savoki's going to fall down as well. Oh, the exhaust not running out just in time as Republic's going for the dive. There's the Tides of Blood, picks up the kill and trades it away.
I've definitely seen that one before, but if we touch about where Game Talents are strong, we also need to touch about what makes OMG strong, and it's definitely been their jungler Shui. This guy stepping up, coming back into the roster, is a very aggressive, playmaking-oriented jungler. I like him on champions that can get really creative gank paths, as we're actually going to take a replay at the 1v1 in the middle lane. And again, we've seen this time and time again. This is exactly what he did to Xiaohu, and he's going to do it this time on Icon.
Yeah, and the Ignite goes down very early on, which was actually pretty useful. I believe Republic was probably still going to be dead. But good use of some of the spells there from Icon as Shui accidentally body slams through the wall.
But it's really the difference of any time you dive someone when there is a wave on the tower, you passively gain more. Because not only are you trading effectively 1-for-1 on the kill gold as well as the experience, but all of that creep gold that was on the tower when you chose to dive them, they get denied from. And you can see that displayed in the CS discrepancy between the two mid laners. 32 to 16 right now, whereas the wave has now bounced back. So with that dive, Republic effectively got a wave advantage as well as the kill gold in his pocket.
Yeah, and that's why he's on double the CS of Icon at the moment. Has himself the extra Negatron Cloak, as well as the Ruby Crystal. Wants to be building towards that Spectre's Cowl as soon as possible, and become basically impossible for Icon to kill there in the mid lane.
And just the itemization choices that Vladimir has, especially against the likes of LeBlanc, are going to be very punishing. I suspect that we're going to see Shui kind of give attention to this mid lane, or possibly help unlock Icon to impact other lanes.
Oh, Wushang, you can see, is paying some more attention here in the mid lane. I believe skirted around that pink ward as well. As there's the distortion now on cooldown. Chains do land, but Wushang is going to get in here. Does have a lot of damage as the decoy is going to be followed, and Wushang picks up the kill and will die himself. So Icon sort of gifted a few kills this game.
Definitely best case scenario, but again, doesn't have the teleport available, is going to continue to lose this experience and creep gold pushing into his tower. So still good news for Icon that he did manage to trade 1-for-1. That's never going to be ideal when you're looking to gank the mid lane, but still overall advantage to Game Talents, because not only are they denying the wave, but they also got the assist kill gold.
Yeah, and the fact that Republic was able to stick around and pick up all of that experience and gold and denial there in the mid lane is very important. Wushang also didn't have a whole lot of jungle to go back to. Of course, those couple of camps on the top side of the map have only just respawned, so he may as well be in the death chamber. But why not? Had nothing else to do.
Icon's certainly getting punished repeatedly for using his distortion aggressively, especially not having that flash. The fact that Wushang's able to make a pretty effective gank without the onslaught of shadows.
Well, Ingo's 5 there, stands behind Shui, who's once again towards the bottom side of the map. Pentakill trying to get some damage down, but Savoki's the target. He's going to get smashed back, and SMLZ delivered another kill for OMG.
And both these teams have kind of drawn the line in the sand. Game Talents, we have complete control of the mid lane right now. OMG on the other side, all in on the bot side.
Yeah. SMLZ with a massive item advantage here as well. It's a cull in comparison to a BF sword, which is gigantic. As the chains land one more time, Republic just flat out not caring as his Spectre's Cowl has been built up. We'll see whether he goes towards finishing the Spirit Visage or whether it is going to be the dash cannon that comes in next.
Should be noted, though, that Wushang did step over Vision right now. He's being collapsed on by 3 different members. Does have Onslaught of Shadows, so quite easy to escape. And with all of that attention topside, it means that OMG can go deep on Pentakill.
Yeah, even more damage going down. Nice pillar to stop Five's approach as there's the cannon barrage. In fact, Five in trouble. Stands behind SMLZ, but Savoki will have another pillar relatively soon. Just chonts him down. Feels like he'll be able to grab these kills and utilize them as they move forward.
And that's just a communication issue. No one told or warned them that Gimgoon's cannon barrage could come down and change the tides across map.
So at the moment, you're exactly right. Different weightings here for this team as the chains do go wide, but this is exactly where GT are going to be strong. 60 to 35. My God. CS is ridiculous at the moment for Republic.
And this is also about an issue that Vladimir isn't only going to be strong in his own right, especially his 1v1 in the lane assignments when we start opening up this map, but the idea that he's also going to empower his team with his Hemoplague.
Yeah.
So if you have a strong Sivir versus a strong Vladimir, your Vladimir is going to be much more effective for a larger portion of the game, rather than that Sivir who's really going to come online once she has that Infinity Edge in her back pocket and she's able to do ridiculous amounts of damage with the bouncing boomerang.
And I almost think that it doesn't really matter, as Pentacube probably will just be able to set up for Republic to throw down a Hemoplague on top of a Cannon Barrage and do about 1 billion damage to the opposing team. It's going to be really handy to have Xiang on this roster as the pool comes down. Zhuizhui unable to find anything, as Republic's pretty safe. Both of his escape summoners available, as well as Wushang's just clearing out his jungle.
The fact that you had 2-man or 2 resources from OMG gank the middle lane and they didn't even force a summoner spell then also highlights the other strength of Vladimir in such a short lane.
Yeah.
His safety with his Sanguine Pool.
Very dangerous, as well as the fact that Vladimir doesn't need blue buffs. So we have seen a few of them taking them for the cooldown reduction and the experience, of course, but doesn't necessarily need to, as Icon didn't manage to get the blue buff.
I was going to say,
that stole that one away.
You know who does need blue buff?
Yeah.
LeBlanc needs it. LeBlanc's not going to get it. She possibly could get Dove, although Republic should know that Gragas is in the area simply because he saw Icon leave to go pick up his blue buff.
Well, Icon now heading back to base. We'll see whether he can complete any parts of his Morellonomicon, which would make sense to be grabbing first.
But look at the communication. Okay, so we're technically looking at the mid lane right now, but take a gander at the bottom lane. Savoki and Pentacube were actually backed up onto their tower because, again, I see that LeBlanc is going for blue buff. That means Gragas is on the bottom side of the map. Immediately Ashe and Trundle pull back and they just wait. As soon as Gragas is spotted in the mid lane, now caught out in the jungle, they move back.
Oh my god, the Hemoplague goes down. Republic's looking for more. The Cannon Barrage is there, but it's not enough damage. Republic still wants it, though. Just tanking the turret, grabs a Crimson Rush on his fat friend Gragas, and Icon's just unable to do anything in response.
Game talents are just running over them now. Those summoners that weren't burned on the gank now used aggressively. Icon trying to zone them out.
We'll see whether he can actually get anything done here in the mid lane because he's still incredibly far behind. Fiendish Codex now completed, going towards an Abyssal Scepter as item number 1, so feeling in a lot of trouble against Republic in this lane.
Won't be too punishing on his burst on some of the squishier targets, though, as bottom.
Speaking of punishing, yeah, nice ultimate comes out from 5, though, as Pentacube. That is one more auto attack as he gets exhausted. Pentacube picks up the kill, and SMLZ still on incredibly low health. That play was so close for the OMG bottom lane, but that could be a big problem as this was their power point.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue, is they're now looking for the kill.
Yeah, going for it. Volley not going to connect.
TP.
Yeah, there it is. Wushang is going to come down as now it's an 80 carry battle as Pentacube and SMLZ fighting this one out. Savoki gets the chomp down as Pentacube picks up the kill. He does die immediately to Xiang as Savoki going to take a bit of damage from the Vengeful Maelstrom. No flash available here from Zhuizhui as he makes his way in. So nothing more, so just a 2-for-1 trade in favor of GT.
I don't understand why teams keep giving Savoki Trundle. He is just so powerful at this champion. The TP being expended will mean that OMG overall will get, I'm not going to call it a superior trade, but if they trade the tower, definitely worth. But again, this was the point of power for OMG. This is the lane that they were supposed to be winning, and Savoki's talent on his champion was able to overturn that.
Certainly was, and that tower goes down. First turret of the game here for OMG, but they're still behind in gold, or were, until that big wave of minions was picked up by Icon. So good news story here for GT. As you can see, Gangplank with a lot of control towards the top side of the map. Yeah, this is his friend left.
Terrible for OMG because we're effectively even on gold and OMG have the tower advantage. So theoretically, game talents are actually just passively 1,000 gold ahead.
It's pretty ludicrous. Gimgoon sticking with the Trinity Force build here, even after the changes. Of course, the cooldown reduction, very, very good. But doesn't have the critical strike, which is something that the old Gangplank does like a lot.
I mean, the thing is that he's mostly using his Cannon Barrage, however.
Yeah, that's very true.
So that CDR definitely coming in handy, and that's kind of been the 2 swings of power for the bottom lane in particular, is not only Ashe and Trundle playing phenomenally well, but having that Gangplank ultimate available to augment those trades.
Yeah, very true. As Wushang looking to build towards the Trinity Force. First off, here once again, as Republic actually taking a lot of damage. Chains are going to land as the Crimson Rush is building up, but Icon actually looking for this one, and Wushang not going to get here in time. We'll do a lot of damage here to Icon as he does follow this one up. Rampage going to be there. Nice distortion gets him out of trouble as Zhuizhui is going to come in. Cannon Barrage doing a bit of work, but isn't going to be able to finish this one off. And the horse canters away. Nice work from Icon to pick up the solo kill.
Definitely, but this may not be over.
Oh dear, certainly doesn't look like it as Wushang has to ult his way out. Zhuizhui doesn't get the body slam, but you can see 5 still making his way over. Wushang cantering away as Savoki's going to throw down the pillar, and that's going to save the horse. So GT only lose their mid laner, but will need to pay some respect here to Icon in the mid lane, even after this Spirit Visage pickup.
Yeah, and that was the big issue, is the fact that Republic had gold to spend could have had the item available to him, so I'm not going to give Icon the benefit of the doubt quite yet. Does look good that he managed to get the 1v1, but Republic wasn't sitting on his true power that he had in his back pocket. In response, though, OMG will pick up the kill as well as the Infernal Drake.
Yeah, and Infernal Drake being picked up here, very important here for OMG that want to stop GT from having all of that late game power. See whether it's going to be enough, as of course GT's champions just generally make them extraordinarily strong as we move to that point in the game. Jouer holding on to this mid lane at the moment as Republic Tides of Blood really starting to do a lot of damage.
Still a very scary position to be in. Yes, OMG still have the gold lead, but again, they're now sitting 2 towers ahead. Good news that OMG were able to swap their bottom lane around, take a free tower, and catch game talents kind of on poor back timings.
Yeah.
But again, it's kind of one team fight, 2 towers down, and suddenly game talents will have the lead back in their favor. So OMG, we talked about their different windows of power that they have the ability to play early and mid-game. This is it. Yeah,
one more time. Republic dodging out of the way of the Winter's Bite nicely as he throws down the... Oh, actually didn't throw down the Ghost. That was just Storm Raider's Surge in combination with the Crimson Rush movement speed. So Vladimir just stupidly fast. Those two things happening.
Blue suede shoes.
Yeah, damn right.
He's got his dancing shoes on. He's ready to tango.
A little bit too suedey as Republic continues just to take harassment from Icon.
But he's absorbed so many resources up into the mid lane that now OMG are like, okay, well, while we're here, we need to take something. Dragon's gone. Let's move to Rift Herald. In response, game talents will finally pick up their first tower. So again, starting to even up that gold lead. In fact, taking it back for themselves, and there's still a turret down.
Yeah, do we feel like this is possibly a tempo loss here, potentially going for the Rift Herald instead of keeping pressure on these lanes?
It's terms of tempo loss. I mean, when most people talk about tempo and pacing of a game, they're talking about the side lane and the minion control of it, as well as who's making the proactive plays by getting having their back timers cleaner, you know, getting their itemization and starting to set up for things. So theoretically, yes.
Well, you can see SMLZ going for a little bit of an accelerated build here with the Infinity Edge completed very early on. Chain's not going to land here from Icon, who just distorts back.
I feel like that's just a backing thing. You know, he's been sitting in or moving and bouncing between these lanes for so long that he just backed at the appropriate amount of gold. You know, while I'm here, typically Sivir's itemization is to go for the Essence Reaver simply because in standard lanes, you're going to make more frequent backs, and the Essence Reaver has more cheaper ingredients, so you get more power points versus having to wait for that 1,300 gold, having to wait for that 875 for the pickaxe.
Well, you can see Arrow is going to fly through. They're not going to do too much. His Gimgoon avoids turret damage. Barrel continues to come down here, and this will be the turrets traded as Game Talents do hold on to that gold lead.
This is really risky, though. They saw that Wushang was hanging out in the bottom side of the river. They know that Hecarim has his ultimate available. And it's actually just Shui trying to zone them off of the top side to save his tower.
You can see Republic continuing to get aggressed on here by Icon. However, with his new items, feeling a little bit better. Nice double distortion, though. Keeps his health low as Crimson Rush is going to adjust that completely. There's the Hemo Plague as he throws down the pool as well. Icon did get the snare. Nice flash to get out of the Mimic Distortion. Republic is going to be in trouble, however. There it is, and Icon's delivered the kill. Cannon Barrage comes down one more time as Wushang continues to look for more. But no, this Vladimir has been shut down a little bit this game.
So now we'll give to Icon. Has his Morel and Omicron able to apply the Grievous Wounds there.
Yeah.
And it's this constant aggression of continuously using his cooldown. She has such short cooldown windows that you're constantly putting the pressure on that he can't get enough time to sustain and to heal up out of all of the burst damage and the Grievous Wounds that Icon is applying to him. So Icon playing the matchup very well and taking power out of Republic's hands.
I feel like that extra 20% CDR that he picked up with that Morel and Omicron is so important here as well, just to make sure that he can keep that pressure up almost indefinitely. Doesn't have the Ignite anymore, however. See whether that's going to bode well here for Republic, who's building towards that Dash Cannon as item number 2. Hextech Proto Belt.
But frankly, power has slowly shifted back into OMG's hands. They're now, again, this tempo advantage in control of the mid lane, trying to apply pressure on that. We said the Sivir itemizing into the Infinity Edge first. She's definitely ready for the big 5v5s, which the next Dragon will be spawning in 1 minute 30 seconds. Yeah. Sivir is completely online for that type of fight, whereas Ashe is more oriented towards the attack speed build, towards pushing waves and sieging towers as opposed to a big clumped up fight.
And we'll have a lot of that CDR built up as soon as that Essence Reaver is completed. Only a very small amount of gold until that one's done. So arrows are plenty. We'll be flying across the map. And I want to see GT when they manage to get into one of these 5v5s, because when the Hemo Plague and the Cannon Barrage come down at the right times, things could get very scary for OMG, and they're going to be looking at Xiang to really be that massive tank and the damage reduction for them with that Vengeful Maelstrom.
Right now, Game Talents, they know that they have a 30-second window where they can play towards the top side of the map. So in response, OMG sent SMLZ, again, kind of allocating farm and resources to him. You see that there's a discrepancy between the AD carries to push it back. But this is kind of a question of, are Game Talents going to try to look for the 5v5 of the Dragon, or are they going to try to all in on this tower here? And are OMG just going to mirror it because they know that they're stronger in the 5v5, they can stall out a Dragon fight? Or are they just going to try to trade objectives?
You can see Republic now with a level disadvantage here on Icon, who's playing very far up here in the mid lane. 4-2-0. LeBlanc looking very strong. Scaling going to be a problem here moving forward. The Republic still has a pretty gigantic CS lead.
I want to point out that Game Talents, they made their backs at the appropriate times. They've picked up the pink wards. They're going to contest for this Dragon, and they're starting to move up and claim down the vision. It is only an Ocean Drake, but SMLZ on top side of the map, he will be late to this fight.
Yeah, and Icon actually looking to try and get some poke down as well, but this Dragon is not long for the world. Zhuai is going to make his way in, but not going to be able to secure it, as there's the arrow flying forward. Icon, he's going to head plant the wall, and he's going to take a whole host of damage. Massive start to this fight here for GT. The disengage comes down from OMG as SMLZ, possibly in trouble, will be able to move out of the way. And can GT get more?
And that was OMG's fight to win. Again, Sivir is incredibly powerful right now, but Icon just misplays it, and now Game Talent's looking for more. Yeah,
another good pillar to set things up as OMG half under the turret, half moving out of the way. GT might get some spare time. The wave clear going to be tested here from this OMG roster as now Xiang right in the front line. The man is very tanky as there's a twisted advance. Savoki possibly caught out, immediately destroyed there as 5 picks up the kill. Wushang has to use his ultimate to get out as now Republic possibly in trouble. He's going to get exploded as Xiang picks up the kill. And now Gimgoon and Pentakill kiting around. Gimgoon looking for SMLZ. Oh my god, almost picks it up for himself, but doesn't manage to. And GT throw away the fight.
But that's the 5v5 that OMG were looking for over the Dragon. SMLZ was late to it, Icon misplayed it, but SMLZ just hit a massive crit on Gimgoon when he tried to fly into that backline. That's what they needed. They managed to recover because Game Talents overstayed and traded into a tower.
Yeah, so continuing to put the pressure down as OMG grabbed themselves a 2,000 gold lead. Not the team that was favorited in this matchup, but looking good. I just like them so much more with Xiang back on the roster. I think it doesn't even matter necessarily that they lost 3 bans. Just feel like Xiang brings something to OMG, like some stability.
Well, you'd think that the idea would be that with a more experienced member on the team, although as I say that, Wushang's actually setting up a gank on Icon in the bottom lane. They do have TP available, but they don't need it.
That is a lot of damage as the chains are on. He is going to use his distortion to get over the top. As you can see, the Cannon Barrage comes down, stopping his retreat, but Xiang is going to stop things from being too much of a problem. And Zhuai just there for a helping hand. Doesn't even get an assist, but Icon going to be safe and going to pick up an assist.
Yep, so overextending, they do manage to get the responding teleport out of Xiang. So resources were burned to save Icon, but we're kind of in a position where Rift Herald is down. We're waiting for Baron. It is up and online. We're waiting for the ability to contest Baron, and the Dragon is gone, so it's not as a high priority summoner spell as it should be right now. But kind of going back to this idea of what would Xiang bring to OMG as a team, definitely the responsiveness and the veteran call to say, I'm teleporting right now to assist you. But in terms of that Dragon call, OMG were still relatively late on the rotation, losing that ability to fight. So, yes, it's always nice to see Xiang on the roster. I definitely think he's the most stable and most consistent performing member of this current iteration, but still looking a bit slow on the uptake, which is why they find themselves so far down that ladder.
Well, Wushang is going to start off this blue buff. We'll see whether they give it over to Gimgoon, who does already have 40% CDR. OMG a little bit late as they clear out vision, moving in towards the top side. This Baron area well and truly under their control for now. Republic just Crimson rushing things away.
At this point, Game Talents need to conserve farm, allocate resources, and start looking towards kind of their next big completed items before they challenge them 5v5 again. OMG are still in control unless a massive pick is made with this arrow.
Looking at Pentakill now to try and set things up as the barrel is going to help clear things out. Nice damage on Icon there as well from Gimgoon, and of course always was a pretty good gangplank player.
big items to look for is you want to see the defensive itemization for Hecarim come online. He's got his Trinity Force right now, but if he flies into that back line, he'll pretty much just explode.
Yeah.
So particularly MR, which he's got the makings of it so far with his cowl. You also need the third damage item for Ashe coming in. Kind of depends on where he goes. I'd like to see crit come out of him.
Yeah, Infinity Edge would be nice. But with some big tanks here on the side of OMG, it wouldn't be surprising to see him go for something like a
Last Whisper.
Last Whisper variant. I personally like the Mortal Reminder.
Something that I want to kind of quickly touch on is the support itemization. So we actually have 5. He went for the upgraded Ruby Crystal.
Yep.
As well as his Targon's, mountain?
Face of the mountain.
Face of the mountain, so it's a shield. So what's cool about the Ruby Sightstone is that it gives you a reduced timer on activation items. So it's almost like a pseudo, I don't even know how to explain it, like a pseudo Shin ult almost.
Oh, there's the pull-out from Republic. Does have the ultimate available as there's Cannon Barrage. Doesn't actually use the Hemoplague as Shui's in trouble. Big engage from Wushang, but like you said, just melts as he gets into the backline. Republic, Crimson Rush is there as Hemoplague now only really on Xiong. Not exactly layering these spells like they'd like, as there's the Flash Twisted Advance from Xiong. Just cleans up the support. Republic looking to still try and get more back, but Icon just launches into the backline. Pentacu's going to die. Gimgoon in trouble as the pull up one more time, but GT are just running for the hills. Decent barrel. 5 has to be careful. The GT just feel like they don't know what they're necessarily doing against OMG.
Game Talents do not have the itemization to look for that big 5v5. And let's note that was a 4v5 to start. Xiong was late to that, so they didn't have their big frontline mitigating damage tank there available for you. But the biggest thing, as Icon still looking for that one.
Yeah, almost kills him.
Is, like you said, their inability to layer their spells. The fact that the Cannon Barrage went down and then the Hemoplague. I mean, obviously, common sense is you lay the Hemoplague down and then you throw down Gangplank's ultimate. So the Venn diagram of murder not really coming up for Game Talents.
Yeah, not quite working as Republic now building towards Azonia's Hourglass. Of course, this game most certainly not over for Game Talents. They can scale incredibly hard as they move towards the later stages, but
I just feel like we keep looking at Pentacu's items and nothing is changing.
Yeah.
He's been sitting on an Essence Reaver and his Hurricane for, it feels like, the last 10 minutes.
Well, Ocean Drake will fall in favor of OMG very easily. Next one's going to be a Cloud Drake.
Well, they certainly now have the confidence to realize how strong and how far ahead they are right now, starting to be more proactive, grabbing free objectives up on the map. Again, we're still playing around the Baron now that Dragon is gone, but there is also a pushing creep wave on this bottom tower. So I like how OMG realized they have complete control of the map, and it's now just, what do we pick?
Well, you can see OMG just going to take away the blue buff, red buff here. Wushang not going to be able to get in there. Smite is going to secure it there for Shui. Can then body slam his way out. You can see Republic was able to clear up that big wave towards the bottom side, and Hex Drinker is now done for Gimgoon, which will be helping him try and get consistent damage down in these fights. But the Gangplank really hasn't necessarily been working the way Game Talents wanted it to.
Gangplank needs setup time. He needs to walk in, he needs to lay down his barrels, play with Fog of War, use them around corners and the likes. He can't just show up to a fight and start spilling out massive amounts of damage, and it's kind of the issue that Game Talents really haven't set up these traps, haven't moved up into areas, taken control of vision, and lured OMG into their clutches.
Yeah. And of course, the fact that Republic did have such a massive CS lead almost doesn't matter anymore, as Icon sitting on 6-3-2 almost has the Void Staff completed as well as item number 3, and the LeBlanc is doing exactly what it's supposed to do this game.
And unfortunately, Savoki's Trundle isn't enough disengaged to protect the backline. So if you have Vladimir and Hecarim just flying in, trying to dive OMG's backline, they have the Sivir. They can quickly kind of either disengage it with a cask or just use the On the Hunt to create distance and back up. Ashe does not have that same luxury, neither does Gangplank.
Well, Shui looking for a possible re-engage here as the rest of the team is over the top. Will probably settle for taking away the blue buff and does so very nicely. Over now, GT not going to have to worry. Teleport is available here for both of the top laners, but Baron's been started. Nice Hawk shot. Spots it out immediately.
And this is the real prize. Thankfully for Game Talents, not only do they have the Hawk Shot, but they still have their blue trinket available. As I say that, it is going to be used by PentaQ, so now they're blind.
Yeah, On the Hunt comes in as there's the arrow onto Zhuizhui. Cannon Barrage comes down as Savoki is going to be the first to fall. SMLZ picks up that kills. There's a twisted advance from Xiong, turning up to the fight a little bit earlier. Nice barrel, but doesn't really get too much done as it only hits the tanky Maokai. That's a quick and easy pick there for OMG.
And there's no response for Game Talents because they don't have any more engage. The arrow was used defensively as opposed to aggressively. And now they just have to wait.
Yeah, so Xiong is going to head... Zhuizhui is going to head back to base. Stock himself up. No, it was Xiong. Zhuizhui hanging around in the pit. So shot flies through one more time.
Yeah, OMG have actually been really patient playing around the vision cooldowns that Game Talents have, you know, waiting out these blue trinkets, waiting out the Hawk Shot. Now, again, that Game Talents are blind, they say, okay, they've got nothing less, pull the trigger, we're going for the Baron. And it's now this coin flip of do we face check into a possible trap or catch them unawares. TP now coming in.
Yeah, there's the teleport barrel down in place immediately as the Twisted Advance gets them in there. OMG's follow-up is really fast as there's the explosive cask in the backline. PentaQ, relatively okay for now. It goes down extraordinarily low. 5 is the one that's going to fall down as PentaQ grabs Icon. It's 3 kills already for GT as the double kill comes in. And Republic cleans up the AD, and now GT will move towards the Baron.
And immediately the game has flipped. You've got the core itemization now up and online for Game Talents, but more than that, you had that setup time. We talked about this. Game Talents needed to take control of vision and to lure OMG around these corners into Fog of War, into these choke points to make the most out of their AoE damage spread. And that's exactly what happened. OMG stayed too long on the Baron, couldn't decide what they were going to do, committed to the TP, and just look at the damage that Gangplank's about to just destroy on people.
Yeah, just ridiculous. And GT actually get a really nice collapse onto this team as well, and PentaQ was able to stay alive. Got the arrow, actually last hit Icon with it.
Used it aggressively as opposed to defensively. So OMG just, you know, what does Xiong bring? Is it a veteran shot calling? Because right there, Xiong just got them killed.
Yeah, well, once again, things in trouble as Savoki throws down the ultimate. Xiong not necessarily as tanky as he otherwise wants to be as he flashes away. Savoki actually going to be okay as the arrow flies through, and Xiong going to be stunned for a long time. Saves his support.
So the biggest thing about this Baron, as we've now disengaged from this and we're resetting the map, is this is going to be breathing room. So about 4 minutes, give or take some, with that 30-second buff to Baron, of just allocating farm, picking up more gold. And we talk about Game Talent's composition. It ramps very well into the late game, especially when you start to layer those AoE abilities. So Game Talents, they saw their win condition. They get how it works now. Fight them in a choke point, layer everything together, watch them explode. OMG, they cannot make that mistake probably more than 2 times, otherwise it's game.
Well, you can see Gimgoon, he's actually built up to a lot of items. Went back with, I believe, just a Hex Drinker as well as the Ghost Blade and Trinity Force, and finished a more of Malmortius and grabbed the last Whisper. So Gangplank getting to that point where he's well and truly online. Probably wants a last item, Infinity Edge, to really be massive. But might be steering away from crit, as that'd be the only crit item he'd pick up. Just going for the armor penetration as the barrels are going to come down. Not going to do too much as 5 blocks it with the Unbreakable. Now GT running out of minions, trying to continue this siege.
Just slowly chipping away. Again, Dragon's kind of the big priority, although I believe it's only a Cloud Drake. Let's double check on that one.
Yes, it is.
But it's more so, again, setting up early, getting into these small areas. There we go. That's what I was talking about, that setup with the Gangplank barrel, and trying to lure OMG around corners into brick walls.
Well, Gimgoon just blows up a barrel. And they're actually not going to start off this Dragon straight away, as GT still respecting OMG a lot. Because,
again, it's not about the Cloud Drake. It's just about the 5v5 potential, the trap card.
Activating it. As SMLZ picks up the red buff, and GT do decide that they want to take this one down.
It's nice.
Themselves towards the Elder Drake.
I always thought that Vladimir kind of looked like the Dark Magician. Although kind of like Malzahar Vladimir mixture.
Yep, I like it. Zycon actually deciding to back here in the middle of the creep wave as GT are pushing up aggressively. Another barrel flies through as actually the pillar works very well in conjunction with that one. Lots of turret damage coming down here though as OMG trying to get a lot back. Big Fear comes out as there's the cannon barrage as well. OMG in a whole host of hurt, but GT are the ones suffering for it. Gimgoon has to run away. They take down the Ashe. Savoki going to fall as well. And OMG orchestrate this team fight so beautifully. You can see Icon was thinking about going for Gimgoon. He gets slowed down as Republic finally makes his way into the fight. They will have their solo laners, but OMG with a big force pushing this one down. Gimgoon now in trouble underneath the turret. And Zhuizhui still tanking it up. Republic right in amongst it, misses the chains because the pull was there. Zhui eventually falls down, but this is a 1 versus 4.
And effectively, it was a 4v4 that started at both mid laners were missing Icon as well as Republic, but the difference is one of them's a Vladimir that can augment the damage of the rest of his team, and that's core to the composition, and the other one's LeBlanc.
Yeah. Who turned up and was still able to get work done, now has the Void Staff completed as Republic building towards his now. Zhonya's was there, probably would want it. It gives him a lot of that teamfight power as Icon now going to take himself in a turret.
Again, we had some breathing room. We had the spike of game talents, you know, their late game composition finally coming online. They figured out how and where to play it, and then just split-second error.
Yeah, drop the ball just a little bit. We'll see whether it is going to be something they can recover from, though, because this game is still extraordinarily close. Only about 500 gold in it. With these structures starting to fall, it means that OMG's comp that can chase extraordinarily effectively becoming a lot more powerful.
It also means that PentaQ's position of power in the composition is also much stronger. We're getting to that point where that single arrow can be game-changing if it hits the correct target and has the correct follow-up.
Well, Savoki now running around the map. We'll be able to set up some barrels here for Gimgoon.
But this game is much closer, and this is kind of the trend of OMG. I mean, if you completely remove their last 0-2 loss against Saint, they had very tough opponents that they faced. It was kind of their EDG series that they started to come up onto the rise. A lot of their games have been very close in nature despite, you know, not having the veteran experience to close them out and to finally find a win. Both these teams have shown comfort in their ability to play late game 5v5s.
Well, we'll see whether Game Talents can get it together, because if they're going to go back to what they utilized against WE, now is the time. Ticking over to 35 minutes right now. Late game starting to kick in. We've got 5 items on the Gangplank. We've got 5 on the Vladimir as well. As you can see, Ash still building up. Does want to complete that last Whisper as Moral Mortius is completed, but probably wants an Infinity Edge sometime soon.
It's about the changing of power and the changing of responsibilities. So, again, we've come to the point where SMLZ is going to be the really big factor for OMG here. Icon, of course, is going to be your big upfront burst damage, and it's his responsibility to dive onto Ashe, to dive onto Gangplank. But if OMG can just keep SMLZ alive after the initial charge of the Hemoplague as well as the Hecarim, they should win the extended fights.
Well, right now they're able to take a free inner turret here towards the bottom side of the map, further extending that lead. Over 2,000 gold now, as the Baron is going to be up in about 50 seconds. This game still feels like it can turn on a dime. As you can see, OMG now going back to base. Will complete some items. Set up for possibly sieging around that big purple worm.
It's definitely set up time for the Baron. Game Talents do have a window of opportunity where they can actually move into this, though. Lay down their traps early and, more importantly, get control of that Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, visual vision being gained as Savoki clearing things out. Pentagu going to push things out here in the mid lane. I need to be a little bit careful. Xiong does have his flash. Twisted Advance has to be respected. Desmosly slowed down by the volley just a little. But it's a massive lead for SMLZ. He's 70 CS up. 6-2 and 7. This Sivir is going to be very, very scary.
And that's, again, name of the game. Keep him alive. Make sure that he can survive the initial dive from Wushang. If Sivir is terrifying, Hecarim is also very big right now.
Oh, yeah.
Has those completed resistance items, as well as the Trinity Force, so he'll hit like a truck.
But also now has that Randuin's as well. Lots of utility available for this Hecarim. It's now GT setting up. They know that they have soul vision of this area as the barrels are flying down, but don't find exactly all the damage that they want to. Republic goes in, gets slowed, but clears out the wards.
This game is a 50-50 that comes down to execution.
Yeah. And we've seen that GT can definitely find these fights in the right spots in other games. It has happened. We've mentioned the WE series quite a few times, and OMG have been known, honestly, to choke in some of these circumstances. EDG was a team that was very far behind the OMG roster. As now Pentagu going to get flashed on. The heal comes out as he does get over to the right side. Cannon Barrage flies through. It's a big cooldown here for GT. Wushang now heading back to base.
That's massive. The fact that your AD carry doesn't have either summoner spell is pretty detrimental. Ashe can just get deleted. Means that the arrow again counts that much more because have to make sure that she gets it off before she dies.
Well, does finish the Lord Dominic's Regard when he goes home. PentaQ now with one more item slot to complete. Does have himself a pink ward there, as the vision available here for GT is quite large. As you can see, Savoki continuing to get vision down.
We're now at this crossroads where we see this a lot in Korea. If a team takes a Baron, the other team will actually just take the Elder Drake because they see them as being able to negate each other.
Yep.
And normally we don't really get to see that choice being made in LPL games because their spawns are always staggered from each other. But again, we have a scenario where Baron is available on one side and Elder Drake is available on the other side.
If GT have anything, they have a lot of upfront damage, and I feel like this Baron will go down extraordinarily fast if they're given the opportunity. That is a 6-item Sivir. SMLZ just finished off his Bloodthirster, and if he can get into any sort of team fight and affect the backline with that Ricochet...
And you don't even have to get into the team fight. That's the beauty of Sivir, is that the Ricochet and the ability to bounce crits to the backline compensate for Sivir's lower range.
Well, Republic throwing down some damage. Xiang already down relatively low. As you can see, the arrow flies through. Cannon Barrage not exactly finding the priority targets, but is holding off OMG for the moment. Xiang gets on top of PentaQ. Doesn't have the flash, remember. SMLZ takes down Republic as Xiang's trying to launch around the fight, but OMG find exactly what they want. That's the ace, and GT get melted.
It looked good for Game Talents initially because the Cannon Barrage was able to zone out SMLZ for the majority of that fight, but he got underneath it, found the small alleyway, and just pushed forward with Icon's burst damage. Just
ridiculous, and so well executed here for OMG. They're now pressuring down this inhibitor turret. Will it possibly be the game here as the ace? Death time is relatively long, upwards of 20 seconds for the moment as they're continuing to shove this one through.
They've got a creep wave.
Yeah, massive amounts of damage here from SMLZ as well, as you can see that these Nexus turrets are being torn apart. Second one is going to fall down, and OMG are going to be able to close out game number 1 against Game Talents.
And it's sad to say, but OMG have had so many great looks just like this where the game didn't turn out to victory. It's nice that they were able to close this one out. But you have to hold on bated breath that they'll be able to close out the series. That game was a 50-50 coin flip either way.
Yeah, it certainly was. However, we have to look back at Champion Select. The fact that OMG didn't have their required top laner, lost all of their bans, had to play against Vladimir. This was orchestrated entirely from GT. And that is going to be all the more demoralizing as we move into game number 2 because they're not going to have that buffer anymore.
I do want to quickly point out, though, that losing all of your bans from red side, I'm not entirely saying that that's the worst thing that can happen to you because, again, you get 2 big priority picks.
Good point.
Of course, those 2 picks that they used in second rotation were the likes of Gragas and Braum. But still...
Yeah, and we'll see whether it actually is going to pay off for OMG because now finally with some momentum, of course, coming off a loss against Saint must be very difficult for the team. However, this game, looking like they had it all back together one more time, even if GT's comp looked very scary.
OMG's problem has always been that they know where they should be on the map, but they don't know how to execute it on as cleanly. They're a smart team theoretically, in that this is the objective that we want, this is the side of the map that we're strong on, this is where we should play to. But again, it's just an execution problem, which if you look at their roster, because it's been rotating so much, it's about building up that communication, that synergy to be able to execute as cleanly as the elite LPL teams. So again, OMG, their record looks terrible on paper, but they have had countless games like this where it comes down to the 50-50. This could have very easily been a Game Talents victory.
Yeah.
But people need to start looking at this team and saying, but there is something special here. They are able to execute and do clever things on the map.
Well, you can see this is the final team fight we're looking at right now as GT were just unable to get themselves into the right position. You can see SMLZ with that massive shield. Just able to navigate around this fight and crit all over people.
He gets underneath the cannon barrage, and then as soon as we're at this point, I'm like, it's over. He's about to hit a single bouncing blade or bouncing boomerang, and it's just going to crit every single one of them. Ricochet,
yeah, no, most certainly did. And the follow-up from Icon was just absolutely ridiculous as well. The fact that he got that Mimic Distortion over the top of everyone, just ridiculously well done. So congratulations to OMG, ladies and gentlemen. However, it is a best-of-3 series. We'll see whether GT can bounce back or whether OMG can close it out after this short break.